It's Monday at noon here on the Gopher Sports Facebook page, which means it's time for Ski-U-Mah Weekly, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. I'm Justin Gaard from KFAN Radio and the Gopher Radio Network, and we're in the middle of 3M Arena at Mariucci, more specifically the club level, for a very specific reason. Here to welcome the new Gopher hockey coach, Bob Motzko, for his first appearance on Ski-U-Mah Weekly. Coach, first of all, welcome. Congratulations. And how's the first week been? Has it been a little bit of a whirlwind?
I would call that a whirlwind. There's no question. Leaving one job, tightening everything up, taking a new job when you're not expecting it. And then today's day 4 on the job. So someone said, "Are you swimming?" I said, "No, I'm drowning right now," trying to, just get your head above water. But it's great. The excitement's building. We just got to get through this first couple of weeks here. You had, by your words, your dream job at St. Cloud State, to play where you went to school. Yeah. And you had a nice thing going up there. I'm curious, why Minnesota, why now? Well, a couple of things. I always felt I had one more move in my career. I think a lot of coaches will tell you that because that's just the nature of the business. But as each year ticked off, for me, I didn't want to leave the state of Minnesota. So, in a scenario of me ever leaving that job, there was really only one place to go. Right. And when the phone call comes, there was a lot of speculation, but you were never really expecting it. But bang, there it is, and this might be my last move. A reminder: we can take Facebook questions. We can drop them in the comments section here. We'll have some time this segment and next segment. We're going to do 2 segments here with Coach Motzko. You mentioned kind of the boom aspect of it. You have 36, 72 hours before you're coaching your team. Season ends probably quicker than you wanted it to. You've got that to deal with. Kids in that locker room. What is that whole scenario like, turning the page, I guess, so quickly? Well, I don't know if turn a page is, that's an easy way to put it. When you're coaching, I think people might think, it's a career, it's a job, but you are vested emotionally with your heart and your family. And I have 3 kids now. My daughter's a freshman here at the University of Minnesota. Easy for her. Yeah. But my 2 boys, they're vested where they're at in all heart. And so, that was a big emotional piece. And then how fast it happened. We're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the region on a Friday night. Saturday morning, the phone call comes in. And then your brain has to immediately start to figure it out, but yet you have all this responsibility on the other side. And you deal with it, you move through it. There were great people on both ends. That's probably what made this thing go so smoothly is St. Cloud State and the people I had there were fabulous. And then everybody I met on this side at the University of Minnesota, it was terrific. And so from that standpoint, it's been a terrific transition. When you start out in coaching, you kind of know you're going to live a nomadic lifestyle a little bit. And you've been certainly a lot of different places with a lot of good stories. But you had stability, and coaches kind of strive for stability. I'm curious, sometimes it is good, like you said, you had one more move in you. What's it like now for the first time in a long time to have transition for you, and how are you doing with that? Well, 13 years was obviously the longest I'd ever been anywhere, and everything is settled. And my staff was with me really primarily through the whole time too. So we just, we danced well together. And all of a sudden, this is a monster change. And it's like dusting off the old robot that's been stuck, to figure out how to get this thing moving. And it's a transition. And right now, I think, at this stage of my career, there are parts of it that are going to go, we're just going to let smoothly transition over. The big one, obviously, family and moving and figuring out how we're going to make that dynamic work, because I don't like commuting 75 miles, and I had to do that today. But it's just going to be the transition. I'm just calmly going to roll with the transition with a lot of help and just make this thing go as smooth as we can. You mentioned this is day 4 of the job, so give us kind of an idea of what you're doing on day 4, the types of things you're working through. Well, day 2 and 3, I was out recruiting, so you get on the road right away and you want to get out and see some kids play. And now it's just hey, I got my phone today, I got a computer, I've got an email address, and we're at the beginning stages. Right. We just got to get through that, the house cleaning things, and then get back to our staff, putting everything together, and one by one, academics, strength training, recruiting, and just put everything in order and get this thing going the way we want it to move. Are you able to take anything from your time here as an assistant, or has too much time passed, too many things changed? No, there's no question that I was here for 4 years, and already today, my first day on campus. I'm bumping into people that were here when I was here before. Cool. And a little old home week there. And I haven't left the state of Minnesota. There are so many familiar things in my world that I'm comfortable, and it's going to be a smooth transition.
I will take a couple of questions here and then take a break with Coach Motzko here on Ski-U-Mah Weekly. Remember, drop your questions in the comments section. We'll try to get to as many as we can in the time that we have. Todd wants to know about coaching in the Big Ten. I don't know if you know this, but Gopher hockey is now in the Big Ten. Some people have brought that up the last few years or so. But obviously, you're going to be familiar with some of the teams because you've played them. But the Big Ten in general, what's it going to be like coaching there?
Well, that will be, that's going to be new for me because, obviously we had old history with the University of Minnesota. We still play them, and Wisconsin. Now, we haven't played Wisconsin in a few years. But the other teams are going to be different. When you're in a league and you're around the same coaches year after year, we all know each other. To prepare for the week, to get ready to play, there's no booby traps. You pretty know what you're walking into. We do have some work to do to get caught up with the Big Ten League. But quietly, there's been so much scrutiny about Big Ten hockey, especially in our world. But all of a sudden, I think like 2 Mondays or a Monday ago, we all woke up in 3 teams in the Frozen Four. I think now, and I think it was almost overnight, people realized this is a pretty good hockey conference, and it's here to stay. And there was definitely a growth portion of that, the 5 years putting that league together, where you could throw some negative slants at the league, and it wasn't fun for some of the fans or fair for a lot of the fans. But that is gone. I think now you really have to look under the hood and go, this is going to be a great hockey conference. You have to embrace it, and we have to do our part, play exciting hockey for everybody, and make sure they want to come and watch this league.
Just getting started here on Ski-U-Mah Weekly, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. When we come back here at 3M Arena at Mariucci, more of your questions, and I have just a few more of my own. We'll be back after this.
Join me in welcoming our next head coach, Bob Motzko.
Now the wrister, he scores!
The history and the tradition of Gopher hockey is one of the greatest in the country. It's part of the culture and the fabric of this state.
Unbelievable! It's a championship for Minnesota!
We're going to be fast, we're going to be skilled, and we're going to add a whole lot of toughness to the way we play this sport.
And that's it! The Gophers are champs!
Visit Gophersports.com for all of your up-to-date Gopher hockey information. Gopher hockey, Minnesota's pride on ice.
Welcome back to Ski-U-Mah Weekly, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. I'm Justin Gaard with Bob Motzko, Gophers hockey head coach. A couple of former coaches were at your opening press conference in the Wooger and the Don. What did that mean to you to have that support from guys I know that you know well?
Well, that was they're 2 good friends of mine, and two guys that I respect a great deal, and I've become great friends with Don over the years, and to have him there I thought was awesome. But Doug, I go back to early in my coaching, and he was a big influence for me. I mean, I got to know Doug well when I was a young coach. I spent countless hours with him going over drills and talking hockey, because, that's where Doug was comfortable, talking hockey. And he was a mentor of mine early in my career, Don later in my career, and for both of them to be there. And I was standing between them on a photo. And then I saw the photo. It was kind of eerie because like I didn't belong. I thought those 2 belonged in there, so because that's respect I have for both of them.
What was it like? I'd read earlier this week, when you're at St. Cloud State and you're a player, and you go into Herb Brooks' office basically, and they say, well, here's our off-season workout, and you say, you know what, I think I'm going to try coaching. I want to give that a try. Obviously, he was a legend at that time, but the legend would continue to grow. Just playing around him, learning from him, what was that whole piece
it was, like? The big thing you take now, that was so many years ago, but how intense he was, how his attention to detail, and how he wanted that program to succeed. That's what I took out of that, the biggest. But look where hockey is in our state right now. If Herb Brooks, what happens if he does, I still go back, someone had to call him up at St. Cloud State. He just left the New York Rangers. Would you like to come coach Division III team? So some crazy guy had to call him, but then he had to take the call and say, let me drive up and take a look. And then now, you know, Mankato's gone Division I, Bemidji's gone Division I, and how healthy is Division I hockey in the state of Minnesota right now. And you go back to 1987, and I think Herb Brooks is the catalyst to the growth of Division I hockey, and that was his goal. And has wildly succeeded all expectations.
You mentioned that you just spent some time recruiting days 2 and 3. Do you have the elevator speech down yet for Minnesota? You were given the same speech for 13 years, and or are you not quite at that point because you're just more watching and evaluating kids?
I'm not there yet because right now it's more evaluating,
okay.
and you know, we'll get into the rest of it, you know, quickly as we get going. But right now it's a lot of evaluation, and everything I'm doing, I'm just. My eyes are open, my ears are on, and I'm listening and trying to get a feel of things.
One thing you'll get to sell are the improvements at Mariucci Arena and the Athletes Village. That's where Chris on the Facebook feed wants to get to next. Have you been able to go through the Village and check all that out? And obviously Coach Lucia had a lot to do with some of the newer things here at Mariucci. It's got to be a nice thing to sell.
Well, you want to talk about a change since I've been gone in the 13 years. I mean, just driving down the street with the football stadium and all the construction that's gone on, it doesn't even resemble this place when I left. But when you see the upgrades, I mean, I was blown away by the locker room, the whole setup, the amenities downstairs here for a student athlete. Then when I went through the student village, the athlete village, it's just crazy. You can't even imagine what an opportunity for a young man to come here and be a hockey player and a student and an athlete. What's in front of him. I was blown away, and I can just imagine what it's going to do to a young player when they come here and take a look at that.
We'll go to another Chris here for our questions from the audience. Wants to know about the biggest changes you maybe implement in terms of your strategy or system. Maybe change is not the word I would use, but what is the Bob Motzko system? How do you guys want the Gophers to play?
Well, I mean, I said it in the press conference, but you know, I think this sport is best played, and this is many coaches throughout. You know, it's a speed-based game. We're really seeing the National Hockey League turn back to a speed-based game. You know, players that can make a play. I always say, you know, parents buy $300 for a stick so they can make a play with it, not so they can defend with it. And we want to be up-tempo, but you have to have, and we're going to see this in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you have to have a high degree of toughness. And toughness can be defined in so many different ways, and that's what we want to really implement is a fast, hard-nosed hockey team that's got a real element of toughness to it. And we're just going to look under the hood again right now. You know, I am going to look forward this summer after everything slows down, watching tape on the players and just sitting back and you know, I can't make a lot of changes to my system, but I you know, it's worked to get me to this point, and I want to stick with it.
What is the learning curve in terms of getting to know your new team and having them get to know you? I'm sure you know a lot of these kids because a lot of them are from Minnesota, and you've recruited some of them, I'm sure, as well. What's the balance there?
Well, the curve, it's a long one right now because it's spring. They needed their space at the end of their season. They need to spend their time with Cal Dietz now in the weight room. Their off-season training is the most important. I'm going to take a backseat approach, and I'm going to observe and watch. And then as we go through, you know, the spring and the summer, of course, I'm going to have one-on-one meetings with all the guys, really get an understanding of where they're at. But I think they get a true taste of what we want to do starting next fall when we get together. More observe right now, and then prepare for the fall.
I know you've got a lot to get to, so we'll let you go do it.
All right.
Here on day 4. He's Bob Motzko, Gopher hockey coach. Congratulations again, and we hope to do this again sometime.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody, for watching today, and congratulations, Chris Salverson, for asking a question. Minnesota Lottery prize package. We will be in touch about that. Don't forget, next Monday, noon, Gopher Sports Facebook page. There'll be another edition of Ski-U-Mah Weekly presented by the Minnesota Lottery.